mex pastre, Deo mex Deo, nato mex pastre, lumen ex lumine.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Discussions on Meade County Catholic Radio 95.3 FM in Brandenburg, Kentucky. I'm Deacon Greg Bevin. Through the years, the Catholic Church has carried the pro-life banner, and there have been countless lives saved through the efforts of many. But there's no doubt that no one has fought harder than our guest today to lead the charge both in her private life as a citizen and now in her public life as a Kentucky State Senator, Representative. Almost gave you a
promotion.
A promotion there, yes. Nancy Tate is a tireless advocate for the unborn and the respect for life at all levels, from conception until natural death. When we return, we'll visit with Nancy about a new outreach available to give mothers an alternative to abortion and a child a future and a loving family.
Mex pastre, Deo mex Deo, nato mex pastre, lumen ex lumine.
The battle continues in saving the lives of babies in the wombs of their mothers and beyond. Our discussions program today is centered around a fairly new outreach program, those who find themselves in a crisis pregnancy, seeking an opportunity to place their baby in a safe haven baby box soon after birth, where their child can be placed in a warm and loving family to grow and prosper. You can help, and your help is needed. It takes love and it takes funding to provide these baby boxes in our county, our state, and our country. If you can help support this cause, please send any contribution to Meade County Catholic Radio, Post Office Box 40, Paineville, Kentucky 40157. Make your check payable to Meade Breck Right to Life. You'll receive a thank you letter in the mail that you can save for your taxes. Thank you for supporting us as we work every day to be the hands and feet of Christ. Now back to our show.
Nato mex pastre, Deo mex Deo, nato mex pastre, lumen ex lumine.
Welcome back to Discussions on Meade County Catholic Radio, and welcome to you, Nancy. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Greg. It's quite honored to be here and to speak to the people and the people that are listening to the Meade County Catholic Radio station. This is a wonderful program that has been in existence for several years, but certainly not long enough, and it's quite a service for our community, so I thank you.
Nancy, you've been a pro-life advocate for many years, speaking of many years, and no question about the battle that you have taken on and done very well. If you would, talk a little about your passion for the pro-life movement and your involvement as a private citizen before we discuss how it has carried over into your public life as a state representative.
Well, Greg, I was quite humbled by the introduction that you gave me. I really don't deserve any kudos or any special recognition. I've been so faithful and so honored and so humbled by the feedback that I've gotten. But, I grew up in a very pro-life family. My mom and dad were very pro-life, and they were some of the original, probably Meade Breck right-to-lifers. And so my mom and dad made sure that we had conversations about the value of life at our dinner table. And, I think one of the most the worst things that we hear nowadays is that whatever you do, don't talk about politics or religion. And as far as I'm concerned, that's part of the demise of our community, because how in the world are we going to express our values from a moral and ethical and from a religious perspective if we don't have those conversations with the next generation? I've been so honored. I mentioned the Meade Breck Right to Life, and you and Shirley, you've been faithful pro-lifers ever since I've met you. I've been so privileged to be around the Right to Life organization, the Knights of Columbus, and then of course our non-Catholic groups as well. You know, we've got so many non-Catholic pro-life people here in our community, the Journeys, the Radiants, the Sisters for Life, the Live Action communities, all across our local community, our state, and our nation. And it's great to be around people, like-minded people like us that value life from conception to natural death, because we pray for each other, we hold each other accountable, we call upon the Holy Spirit to keep us on the right trajectory. And I think that that's so important for us to call on the Holy Spirit and to refer back to our biblical principles and our faith principles.
Absolutely. No question about that. So, Nancy, into your public life, you were the sponsor of House Bill 155, and that was for safe haven baby boxes in Kentucky. If you would, let's first talk about what a safe haven baby box is, and about this law that's associated with them, and the safeguards associated with its implementation.
Yeah, Greg, I'm quite honored again to be the state representative for our community and then to be able to serve Kentucky. One of the reasons why I decided to go in to be the public life and to go into becoming a state representative is because of my pro-life values. You know, I was so disappointed whenever Roe v. Wade was in, you know, the law of the land for over 40 years. For goodness sakes, the Israelites only wandered in the desert for 40 years. And I just knew that we as a nation would not wander in the desert for more than 40 years. And then it became 41, 42. And I knew that it was so important for people like us to take a stand in the public and to take our faith from the church pews, take it out into the marketplace. So you and I and several of the people in this community were faithfully going to the EMW abortion clinic, and we were praying every Saturday or every opportunity we could, and it just didn't seem like that we were making any differences. So what I said was that I was going to take my pro-life values from the sidewalk to the Capitol. And so whenever I got there, I already knew what I was going to do. I mean, I was just going to, if people want to call me a one topic or a one subject candidate, if there's nothing else any more important than life and from conception to natural death, I'll take that. I'll wear that as a badge of honor. You know, I think that that's not true, but I'll wear that as a badge of honor. So there was one of our constituents, Miss Margaret Bennett. I love Miss Margaret Bennett. So one day she sent me a message and she said, you know, Nancy, there's this program, and I don't really know what it is, but it's Safe Haven Baby Boxes. And I think that this is something that you're going to be interested in. So what I would like for you to do, if you don't mind, if you find the time, you know, she's so humble and so sweet. And she said, if you find the time, just do some research and figure out what this is. So at the time, Monica Kelsey, who was the founder and CEO of Safe Haven Box, she and her family were the only employees for Safe Haven Baby Box. So I did a Google search and found Safe Haven Baby Box and found their number. And I called the number, and Monica Kelsey answered the phone. And so I said, Monica, I told her who I was and why I was calling. And I said, if you can, just give me, you know, the Reader's Digest version or anything I need to know really about this program, because I would like to be the sponsor and to make sure that this happens in Kentucky. So Monica spent 45 minutes talking to me. And she told me really pretty much everything I needed to know in order to be able to pass the language in Kentucky. And then I said, you know, Monica, I can just envision what this is, but before I can really get behind this, I have to be able to touch, feel, smell, you know, taste this thing. So she sent me to Carmel, Indiana, to where one of the boxes was just had been the ribbon cutting for that box. And so I went over there, and the fire station, the chief, and all his employees were just so very kind and generous to me. And we went through, and they showed me how it would work, and answered all of my crazy questions, and I just knew that this was absolutely something that I could get behind, but I still didn't know what it was, you know, because I'd never seen it before. And then as I've gotten further into this, I've just fallen in love with this program because it's a service that it's a nonpartisan service. You know, with House Bill 155, there were no votes. No votes in the House or the Senate.
Amazing.
And that is amazing. I mean, that's practically unheard of.
Yes.
But it was something that whenever everybody heard about it and I described it and I answered all their questions, that they knew that this was a service that we had to provide to our citizens here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And so what is it? So it's kind of a morbid way to explain it, but if you think of like a safety deposit box on a bank. And so in a fire station, EMS, hospital, or police station, there's a box, like a safety deposit box, that's built into the building. And when there's an alarm on it, so the parents will walk up. When they open the door, there's an alarm that sounds. It's a silent alarm. And then when they put the baby in the box, then there's another silent alarm that goes to whoever. Let's just pretend like it's going to be an EMS or a fire station. Whoever the fire chief wants it to go to, that's who that alarm goes to. So it could be to himself, and then all of the people that work for him. It could go to the police as well. It goes to EMS. It goes to anybody that might need to respond to that baby, because the plan is for the baby to be responded to within the first 5 minutes. What we've seen is that 75% of the babies that are surrendered are actually surrendered with the umbilical cord still attached. And so that tells us that the babies have not received any kind of medical treatment at all. So it's very important for them to get that immediate response, and then to be able to be taken from the EMS center and to be able to be taken to the hospital. So people say, well, good gracious, Nancy, isn't it possible for somebody to surrender somebody else's baby, like let's just say, an aunt or something that doesn't want a baby to be in the family, just hypothetically set up a situation. What happens is that baby is immediately turned over in Kentucky to the CPS. And so then if the baby is illegally surrendered, then the parents would have the opportunity within 90 to 120 days to be able to have the opportunity to get that baby back. And of course, there would be the paternity test and the maternity test and all those things, and it'd have to go through the legal system. But there are the opportunities for that baby. But up to this point, we haven't had that happen. But it is a possibility, and so we need to make sure that those opportunities are in place. And the babies that can be surrendered are those that are 30 days or younger. And so if for whatever reason, and some people say, we hope we never have to use these boxes, my heart goes out to any family that would have to surrender their child. But, sometimes life happens sometimes, and that for whatever reason, we just can't take care of our children. And so while my heart goes out to those families, I think that this is a service that's really important for those families to be able to have, and with no shame, no blame, that they can anonymously surrender their children. And to me, it's so much better than some of the alternatives. One of the things, whenever I first started looking into this, in 2019, in Bowling Green, there was actually a baby that was surrendered at a church step, and it was put in a box on the church steps, and it was done in December. And so, fortunately, the baby was found before it had been exposed to the weather too long. But, we also hear about babies that are put in dumpsters, babies that are put in garbage bags, and that is, to me, just like the ultimate tragedy. And so if this service is needed, then we certainly need to make sure that it's an alternative to some of those horrific solutions that people seek.
Nancy, as you told that story, you mentioned the umbilical cord is still connected. That I got to think I could visualize that umbilical cord is connected to that baby box now.
That it certainly is. Absolutely.
Very
That's great. That's a great analogy. Thank you.
Nancy, for just a minute, let's go back actually to the birth of this program. And to do that, I think we need to probably go back to that founder. You mentioned Monica Kelsey, and I have heard her speak before. But tell us a little bit about her history, the mission, and the accomplishments to date, and then what her goals are for the future. More importantly, I guess, just a little bit about Monica herself. Yeah, Monica Kelsey, if you ever had the opportunity to meet her, to hear her speak, she's just absolutely the kindest heart. But Monica Kelsey, she tells this story. She's given me the opportunity to tell her story. And so what she was actually put up for adoption.
And so she was adopted by a loving family. They just loved Monica, and she had a wonderful childhood. But as she got older, she wanted to know what her story was. And so her parents gave her the opportunity. Her birth mother had given her the opportunity to find her if she ever wanted to. So whenever Monica found her mother, her birth mother, she heard the story of her conception. And what Monica didn't know was that her mother was violently raped whenever she was 17. And so what Monica had been led to believe was that her conception was from, roses and wine, but she found out that it was one of the most horrific crimes that could possibly happen to a young lady. And so her mother chose life. And so her mother put her up for adoption, and Monica had the opportunity to, her mother passed away at an early age, but Monica had the opportunity to form a relationship with her mother, and her birth mother. And she found out, as time went on, she found out that her father was actually imprisoned because of this crime. And so Monica just knew that, she knew that this was going to be part of her mission. And she really didn't know how it was going to be part of her mission, but because Monica had already been in the service, and she is a retired firefighter, but she didn't really know and understand where, God puts us all in these places for a purpose. But she went with one of her friends on a mission to South Africa. And so as opportunities happen sometimes, there was a natural disaster, and Monica was not able to go to the mission that she was supposed to go to. They went to an alternative location. And while she was there, she saw this really interesting box. And she started looking at it and asking all these questions, and, it piqued her curiosity. Well, come to find out, that was a Safe Haven baby box that was in South Africa. So on her way home from this mission trip, she actually wrote up the first prototype for a Safe Haven baby box on a napkin, an airline napkin. And so she came to the States, and she finally found someone who would help her develop this prototype. I think right now we're on the 7th version of a prototype, but that's because as she continues to roll these out, then people come up with, what did you think about, or, a better design, or some things so it's not bad to be on the 7th prototype. It's actually because so many people have taken interest in this.
Sure.
But Monica, she knows that her mission and her family's mission, because she's got her husband Joe involved and her 2 children involved, they are going out and speaking to as many people as they possibly can to make sure that people are aware of this service. And because it would be such a tragedy, again, for this service to be provided and for nobody to know about it. But Monica has made this her life mission after being in the military, after being a retired firefighter. She spent her whole life saving lives, and now she's going to continue her life saving lives. And I think it's a wonderful story.
God works in so many unique ways.
God works in so many amazing ways. Yeah, she's just just an amazing young lady.
Well, thank you for introducing us to her personally. I kind of feel like we know her a little bit better now. She's been all around the world for that. So, Nancy, could you walk us through the process that enabled us right here in Meade County to soon have a Safe Haven baby box in Brandenburg, I think?
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, one of the things that a lot of people don't know is there's actually a Safe Haven law. And the Safe Haven law has been in place for many years here in Kentucky. But what the Safe Haven law allows a person to do, a mother, father to do, is to actually surrender their child without this Safe Haven baby box. So what we've done is we've actually just attached this Safe Haven baby box to the Safe Haven law. And so And I'm just going to go ahead and share this story because I really want to thank. There was a young lady that let me think really fast. I'm going to say in August, actually came to our EMS, Jerry Lynn EMS facility here in Brandenburg. And she, because of all of the awareness that we've had because of our Safe Haven laws, she surrendered her baby at the EMS center without even a Safe Haven baby box being here in Brandenburg. And so I want to take the opportunity to thank that family for being brave enough to actually surrender their child and to give their child an opportunity that potentially they might not have had because of their circumstances. So the bravery of that family is just makes my heart happy. So I want to thank them for doing that. But what happens is that in September, our fiscal court approved our Jerry Lynn EMS facility to have a Safe Haven baby box. And so that's the very beginning of the initiative, and then they have to sign a contract with Safe Haven baby boxes in order to agree that they will follow the requirements of the Safe Haven baby box and then also the state laws, because those state laws are very important and potentially they're different in every state. The requirements of the Safe Haven baby box is that they will certify at least monthly that the Safe Haven baby box is operating as expected. And then the Safe Haven baby box people like Monica Kelsey will come back on an annual basis to do that certification. But the laws are so very important, because if a firefighter accepts a baby and doesn't follow the law, then potentially they could be liable. And let me give you an example. So a family walks up to the box and surrenders their baby, and then the firefighters actually accept that child, and then they start administering, a medical treatment and anything that they would do, contacting CPS, contacting EMS to make sure that the baby's transported to the hospital. But let's just say that hypothetically somebody comes into the center and says, I made a mistake. I surrendered my baby by mistake. I want that baby back. Well, first of all, the firefighters won't know whether or not this baby actually belongs to the person who's requesting, because it's anonymous. So under no circumstances can they release that baby at that point. They're legally responsible to keep that baby. They're the custodians of the baby until CPS shows up. So it's very important for them, for their own personal protection, to understand what those laws are. Yeah, but now we've got the approval, we've got the contract going. We're actually in fundraising mode for that box. The boxes cost between $10,000 and $15,000, and a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, why are they so expensive?" Well, the first reason is because we're putting this box into a multi-million-dollar facility, so we need to make sure that we don't compromise the integrity of that building. So there's a lot of work that goes into making sure that it's installed properly, and then it's an environmentally controlled box. It's 74 degrees year-round in that box, so regardless of what the temperature is outside, if it's 100 degrees outside or if it's 25 degrees outside, that baby's still going to be at 74 degrees. And so that's so important, as well as to making sure that those alarms sound, because like I said, the whole goal is to make sure that the babies are recovered within 5 minutes.
It sounds to me like a very small price to pay if it saved one child. Absolutely.
Yeah, $15,000 to me is just insignificant. Yep.
The other question I might have in reference to that, this program obviously in the United States probably isn't that old, but any statistics on how many babies have been surrendered either here in Kentucky, which this is this program in its infancy here, but even across the country?
Yeah, Greg, that's a great question, and these statistics change weekly. I was telling you earlier that once a week that the Safe Haven Baby Box, Monica Kelsey and her staff are updating their numbers every week. So I can tell you something today, and it's going to be obsolete by tomorrow. But the latest information that I got was that they have 172 boxes in the United States. There's only 13 states that have allowed the boxes to be legally placed into their state. So there's 172 boxes. In Kentucky, we have 21 boxes, I think, 21 or 22 boxes. And so our goal is, it's House Bill 155. My goal is to have 155 boxes here in Kentucky. We've got 120 counties, and we need at least one box in every county. So there's been there's a 1-800 number that goes with the Safe Haven baby boxes. As a matter of fact, we've got a billboard out on 1638 that talks about the Safe Haven law and how babies can be legally surrendered if they're 30 days or younger. And there's a 1-800 number that goes along with that. There have been hundreds, if I'm not mistaken, there's been like 900 phone calls that have gone into that 1-800 number. And then there's been hundreds of babies that have actually been saved because of just that 1-800 number.
Kidding.
Like the situation here in Brandenburg where that family surrendered their baby without the box. Just people being aware that that Safe Haven law is there is so important.
Amazing.
Yeah, and so I told the story about the baby being surrendered at the church steps in Bowling Green. Well, we've got 20-plus boxes here in Kentucky, and we've had 3 babies that have been surrendered and saved to the Safe Haven baby boxes here in Kentucky. And it would be, and it's important that the very first one that was saved was in Bowling Green.
Really?
Yeah. And then we've had 2 babies that were saved, and those were in Okolona. Yeah. So just the awareness of these boxes, awareness of the Safe Haven baby box and Safe Haven law are already helping us save lives.
That was great. You mentioned just a few seconds ago that you're currently in a fundraising mode
Yes,
to
sir.
support the one here in Meade County. So how can we do that? How can we financially support that? What's the ongoing process right now when you raise money? And if we raise more than you need, where would that excess money go?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways to support Safe Haven Baby Box. One of the ways is just doing a Google search and doing Safe Haven Baby Box, and it's shbb.org. Or is it .com? I'm sorry, I forgot what it was. I think it's .com. Safe Haven Baby Box, shbb.com. And that'll take you to Monica Kelsey and their history and how to contact her. But we can donate directly to them, or you can donate to the organizations in your local community. Like, for example, here in Meade County, we're having a Stepping for Life 5K run and walk. And the local, all of the local community, the local support, the businesses that have come out to help sponsor this initiative has just been absolutely amazing. Our walk isn't even scheduled, for a month now, and we've already exceeded our goal to purchase the box and to install the box. So, but even after that, in Radcliffe, the Knights of Columbus actually had where they did a drawing. And I love to tell this story because they just did a raffle. And the first prize was $1,000, the second prize was $500, and the third prize was $250. And so they called me right before the drawing, and they said, "Nancy, we're going to fall short. We need about $4,000, but we're going to fall short." And is that okay? And I said, "Don't worry, we'll figure this out. Don't worry, we'll figure this out." So they went ahead and had their drawing, and when they pulled out the ticket for the $1,000, it was Safe Haven Baby Box was written as the winner of the $1,000.
No kidding.
And then the next prize was $500, and then the winner of that one was Safe Haven Baby Box. And then the $250 drawing, and then the person who won that actually donated that. So now they were where they were, $4,000 short, and now they're only $2,000 short. So just the generosity of this community. Who would think that just with drawings, with a $1 ticket, that you would end up selling enough tickets to actually fund this initiative?
Nancy, we hear we're always the hands and the feet, and in this case, those hands were used to write that name on that ticket.
Absolutely.
That program.
What generosity.
Story.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, before, when we started this, we wrote up letters. Stephanie Stone and Carmen Jones actually said, "Nancy, can we help you with this?" And I said, "I would love for you to help me." So they helped me come up with a letter, and I dropped it off to all the major businesses here. And you and Shirley, of course, helped support as well. But everybody gave me at least $250.
That's great.
And so just the local support. It's just something, like I said, it's a bipartisan initiative. It doesn't matter whether Democrat, Republican, Catholic, non-Catholic. It doesn't matter what this initiative is. It's something that everybody can get behind, and I'm very proud to be able to carry this and to make this a service that's available for just our community.
Well, thank you for what you've done certainly in that area, and I guess my final question, I kind of want to look at the 30,000-foot look at of the pro-life movement. Much progress has been made over the last few years to protect the unborn and the born, for that matter.
That's correct.
Until death.
Yeah.
But we still, even with all our successes and all the victories we've won in different areas, we still have a long ways to go. Really, Nancy, to kind of change the minds and the hearts of so many people in this nation, and that may be the most difficult thing we have to do, for them to recognize the sanctity of life from conception and to death. So I guess my generic question to you is, what more can we do to protect the sacredness of all life? How can we get that message out there? Yeah. How can we make people more sensitive to the need that's there for those young babies?
That's right. Then I think that's a marvelous question, because, it's really hard. I think that people get confused sometimes. They think that if something is legal, that means that it's right. And we can look back into our history and we can see where there's examples of things that were legal that were not right. We look back at slavery and we see it was legal, right? And we look back at slavery and we see how horrible that the way we treated human beings actually was. And in our lifetime, we're going to see where abortion actually falls within this as well, because we've allowed this for 49 years for the most innocent and weak among us to be killed. And it's so easy to fall into that trap because they call the baby the fetus. So they use these terms, these fancy terms that confuse us. And fetus is nothing but Latin for human baby. But people go, oh, well, it's just a fetus. A fetus is a human baby. But we get so confused, and we don't really stop, and we don't really form our conscience for this. The famous, the best, argument now is because a woman that has been raped or, an incest, and now those babies don't deserve to live. Monica would never have been alive, and this wonderful program would never have been alive. And I met this wonderful lady. Her name is Brittany Bogart, and she's in Hopkinsville, and she contacted me a year ago, and she said, Nancy, I've got to get involved in this. And, Monica and Brittany are both helping me with videos and with, speaking. They're speaking out every opportunity they get to talk about how important their life is. Brittany was actually, her mother was raped as well. So Brittany was conceived from rape. And she passionately thanks her mother for value in her life. And I think people just get so confused. Rape and incest, that's a tragedy. But that doesn't mean that the baby needs to be killed because of the sins of the father. Sure. The sins of the adult. And so, we get confused, and, there's no conversation about rape or incest in the Bible. There's no conversation about that at all. And so if we don't think that rape and incest was occurring when Jesus Christ was walking on this earth, we're confused. If Jesus Christ wanted us to have an exception for rape and incest, he would have talked about that. But what he talks about is how important the life is, how important life is, and that he knew us before we were even born. And that if we actually do harm to a child, that we might as well have the yoke or the millstone around our neck and be thrown in the ocean. So it's our responsibility to protect the weakest among us, be they from conception or natural death. And don't be afraid to talk about it. Don't be afraid to lovingly share why it's important for us to protect life from conception to natural death. And to have those conversations around the dinner table.
There you go.
And to have those conversations in the marketplace. And to don't be ashamed. I am unapologetically pro-life. And no one can convince me that I'm on the wrong side. Right. And I know you share that passion as well, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Well, Nancy, we appreciate all that you've done over the years, and
what
you're doing now as a state representative to protect life. And
yes, sir.
Particularly this program here, bringing that to Brandenburg, that kind of puts us in a unique group, considering there's just so few at this point. So
and across the nation, actually. Yeah. Monica will tell us that the people in Kentucky have embraced this service, embraced this initiative like no other state has. One phone call, Miss Margaret Bennett talking to me, and then me talking to Monica, and the next thing, we had a bill that was in place that was passed unanimously with no votes in the House and the Senate. And then for people to just be fundraising all over the state for there to be boxes.
Well, Nancy, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Well, that'll do it for our show today on Meade County Catholic Radio 95.3 in Brandenburg, Kentucky. And thank you for listening, and may God bless you. I'm Deacon Greg Bevin.
Not to make spots trade.